welcome to episode 197 of the Nerds at Large Gaming Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Darby Holland.
I'm Jeff Mayo.
Hey Jeff, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Sleepy, but I'll make it.
Okay.
I'm gonna persevere, talk about the video games with you.
Thank you. I love talking about James.
Yep, he's a pretty swell dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure enough.
Yep.
Have nothing really to plug. We are probably going to be doing a special episode next sometime. Episode 200. Next sometime. Look forward to that. But before then, Jeff, let's talk about what we've been playing this week.
Oh, boy.
This is a video games podcast, in case anyone is wondering. And there is a very hot new video game out there.
It's true. That game is Psychonauts 2, baby.
Let's go.
I have played it, and I have beaten it.
Whoo. That was fast.
Yep.
Very first podcast.
Yep.
Already beat daggum thing.
I finished it a couple days ago.
No one's surprised. No one should be surprised.
No. Darby's pretty fucking fantastic. I think I saw earlier today its OpenCritic score got back up to 89, so it might be currently the best reviewing new game.
I nailed it on the fucking money when Jeff asked me what the score was gonna be.
Feels good. Good. Especially since it's on my fantasy critic team.
Yeah. Yeah, Sag.
Very good.
But yeah, no, this game was your number one, or like up there in your top whatever anticipated games for like 3 years running or whatever.
Number one for 2 years straight.
Yeah. I mean, you think it lived up to that?
Oh yeah, it surpassed it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting it out of the way. It is currently my GOTY. I don't think anything's going to come out to supplant it, like take its spot. I mean, no offense to other games coming up. It's just, I mentioned it when I played Psychonauts a couple of years back for the first time, that it feels like one of those games that was just made for me in a lot of ways, because it was a 3D platformer, collectathon, all that kind of things, like old school 3D platformer. But just the creativities of the levels and the humor and the writing, all that kind of stuff. And then the sequel just takes that and it's like, yo, what if we did all that stuff, but crazier and better?
Just more.
And just more, man. So yeah, I think there might be more worlds. So there might be some in this game that are shorter than the other ones, because there's some weird structure. I'm not going to really get into spoilers. Yeah, I guess I'll say this. I'm not going to get into any spoilers, especially in Darby as this interest in playing this at some point in time. I might mention, just for sake of examples, the first two brains you go into, and they're also been marketed already. So just to explain what I mean at some point. But yeah, let's see. That made me some general notes or whatever. Yeah, let's start the levels. God, these levels are crazy. It's always fun going into them because you just don't know what in the world you're literally jumping into.
Yeah, I mean, when you're jumping in mines, it kind of like you're not really pigeonholed into anything. You can kind of probably make anything.
The last genius of Psychonauts as a series is, they can just do whatever they want. There's no actual limit to what they can do as far as the world goes.
Yeah,
like the hub world obviously has its kind of limitations. Be more quote unquote realistic, but the actual mines, they did crazy things. And there are some brains in here that's like, they're more straightforward, where it's just kind of one central theme. But then there's some that they're in some ways subworlds. Like you go through one thing and it's like a completely different area. Like, oh, I did not see this coming.
Yeah.
And it's just wild. And also what I love about these worlds, I think compared to one, is just kind of, they fit a little more thematically with, I guess, the rest of the game. The other, for one, a lot of the brains, and I don't mean this in a bad way, we're kind of like, okay, we have this idea for a level, let's put this character here so we can, have this level and all that kind of stuff. Let's just make this problem for Raz. They kind of do that in 2. But as far as you going into the worlds, it feels like all of them are kind of more actual story important than one. where it's just like, yeah, we have this idea for a level, we have this character, let's just insert them here to.
Yeah, like this maybe had more of a thought of the overall story rather than just let's make the story wrap around this other idea we had. Like maybe there's more cohesion between the two.
I think so. And, I think there was some of that as far as like they had ideas for levels and then maybe make kind of the story and person around it for sure. But yeah, I think it's mainly like whose brains you actually go into without saying who they are. Just it makes more sense as far as how the story goes. They pick these people, and it was crazy. And let's see, yeah, yeah. As far as the levels, as far as going through them again, they're very fun. You got all those little collectibles you can find. You got the figments, which goes to a kind of a general criticism of Psychonauts. For people who don't know, figments are these kind of just outlines, like colorful outlines of things that usually have to do with the world. For example, Dr. Lovato, who's the first brain you go to, like immediately in the beginning of the game, is the world's made up of teeth in a lot of the areas. So the figments are like teeth and dentists related things, or characters related to that character. But so you can collect all those. It tells you how many you need or in the level and how many there are. So they're 100% you need to find all of them. And because they're just flat lines, they can be a bitch to find. And if you miss one and go back later, you might be just scouring that level forever trying to find it.
Is this a mandatory thing?
No, it's not, but people like to 100% this stuff, and Psychonauts is fun, so people want to do that, but that could be a pain in the butt.
Yeah, sounds like an annoying collectible. A lot of these 3D platformers, even the ones I love, or like 3D action adventure games or whatever, do not handle collectibles super well, I think.
Yeah. I definitely want to go back and collect these. The ones I have in the little safes in there, which usually have like memories in it that the character wants to kind of block off, so you can just like get a little slideshow thing of like a traumatic event in their past, and those are always fun because you get a little backstory for them to kind of give more context for why they're feeling the way they are or why did something happen.
That's cool, because I mean definitely when it's just like kind of power-ups or something is like the only thing that you get when you do these. When you get to the end of the game, it's like, well, what's the point of me doing these, because I'm not gonna actually use the things that I get. But that's cool to actually have story things. And you said many times that when just you were talking about after you beat this game that the story like went directions and went places that you wouldn't expect a quote unquote kids game or whatever, like, or just the vibe of the game you necessarily wouldn't expect it to go some of the places it did. Yeah, so it is a heavy theme as far as like mental illness goes, and I think Double Fine handled it very well. In fact, in an interview that Tim Schafer did, I think about the day that it came out, he kind of talked about what being acquired by Microsoft meant for this game. I've talked about the boss battle part as far as them putting back in, that being good for the game for years and just that general stuff. But he mentioned specifically it gave him more resources like testers for the game, as well as access to people to talk about mental health things. It's like, okay, are we doing this right? Is this stuff being handled well? That's a cool way to use your new budget, not just flashy graphics, but they actually like use those resources. I think they do it very well. It's like very subtle. It's hard to do in a say, but there's like one, let's say, and maybe the best level in the game, one way that's they don't outright say what his problem, like their problem is, or one of the problems they are having. They just kind of use background stuff to kind of do it, and use very missable dialogue to show what's going on with them. And that's something else I love about this game. Like, for anyone who's going to play this game, and this goes for Psychonauts 1 as well, when you're out in the hub world and everything, talk and listen to everyone, because a lot of like the writing in this game, from the general story to the character dialogue, is fantastic. A+, like, in my mind, some of the best for video games. Hell yeah.
And some of the best ones are completely missable, like just talking to people in the hub world. And that's something that I and a bunch of people do in Psychonauts is once a big story thing happens and you can tell people are kind of in different places in the hub world, you go talk to all the major characters because ours are they have something different to say.
That's cool. Yeah, I always love that shit.
That's always fun. Yeah, and then obviously, like the story went some crazy places, had some, I guess, nice twists that I actually did not see coming that were very cool, and I think were handled very well and all that, especially with how they handled it mixture with the levels and all that. Some crazy stuff. I wish I could talk about all this stuff, but I understand.
Yeah.
Like I want you to play it or someone so I can actually talk about this.
Yeah. I definitely want to at some point.
Yeah. And with all this stuff is obviously the characters, a lot of great stuff about Psychonauts, the series in general, and Psychonauts 2, but the characters are the heart of it. I think they did a really good job of the way they introduced new characters in this, because people wanted Psychonauts 2 to get back to the, see the characters they loved again. But a potential complaint I can see is a lot of the major players in 1 aren't in the game a crazy amount. That's something I didn't really think about it until afterwards. I guess I'm sorry that might be kind of a spoiler as far as how much you see characters and stuff. They're not a major part of the story. I didn't really think about it until afterwards, because the way they introduce these characters, the new ones and the characters, or the way they introduce them and how they use the characters are so good. I'm just like,
yeah,
I wasn't thinking about it. In the end, I was like, oh, it's a bummer not to be with these characters more. But it's like, no, they wouldn't have fit in the if they were in it more, they'd just be kind of shoehorned into it. At least what they did with it.
That's interesting. That is kind of unexpected.
Yeah, so I'm okay with that. It is a kind of a bummer in a way, but it doesn't hold the game back in my opinion. But yeah, you have all these sets of new characters. Like one of them is the a non-spoiler one is the other interns with Raz. You kind of see them in trailers, and they've introduced them. Just a couple kids are roughly around Raz age who have psychic powers and their own little personalities. They're very cool, but potentially not as utilized as much as I would like, except for some certain places. But they are fun. And yeah, like I mentioned about the Bissell dialogue, there's one in particular, one of those characters that people should not miss. I was dying laughing during that whole thing. her whole conversation. Let's see. Okay, I'll talk about combat real quick.
Yeah.
It is a 3D platformer, so in a lot of these, the combat's not the best part of this game, unfortunately. It is a step up from 1 for sure, in my opinion. What they kind of did, they definitely introduced more enemies, and they didn't necessarily introduce more abilities, but they kind of gave these enemies more glaring weaknesses. Like, okay, you kind of need this. But it's kind of solid, and the combat is, you don't get too much of the combat to where you get tired of it by the end. They kind of use it kind of sparingly, I think, in the right places to kind of break up some of the story moments and platforming.
Is it like 3D platforming and then cartoony hack and slash, just normal thing or something, or is it shooting? Is it?
It's kind of mainly shooting. At least you can kind of play how you want, but that's just kind of what I do, because you have side blasts to do, which I used a lot. You can use your little psychic kung fu thing, which is just pressing the melee button, and then you have other things like you can set them on fire. You have these little mental links or whatever that you can use to, depending on how big the enemy is, bring them towards you or bring you towards the enemy to kind of attack them, and it might stun them. Just kind of stuff like that.
Okay.
Nothing too crazy. But that does have what I would say probably the biggest issue with the game. The biggest issue with the game is you got 8 or 9-ish psychic powers that you switch between, but you can only 8 or 9 of them. You can only have 4 at a time, and they're locked to the bumpers and the trigger buttons. So you have to continuously switch between them. It's not the biggest deal, and you just be annoying when you're in a fight with a bunch of different kind of enemies, where it's okay, they all have different weaknesses, and you kind of need to more than 4 to really take care of them without kind of focusing necessarily on one. It's okay, they're done, let me switch this real quick and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, yeah.
Especially since levitation is one of them, where you jump and you just do a little bubble to help you kind of glide a little bit, or the little ball under Raz so you can move faster. That's a staple. I doubt anyone's getting rid of that move.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, okay, now you just switch between three
so
of
you
them.
really only have 3.
Yeah.
It's definitely that could get a little annoying.
Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, is it kind of like a Sly Cooper type one of those games where it's like it has a core gameplay loop, but it's also constantly putting you in a bunch of like puzzles or mini games or like little other things?
Yeah, it's like, yeah, because of the way the levels are, and there's some that are completely different, again, without spoiling stuff, like they're just a lot of them that are just straight up, okay, you're kind of going through this level doing the platforming, the combat. What you might be doing for it is a little different or whatever, but there are a couple levels where you are doing something completely different. Again, I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then potentially for some levels, not all of them ending in a boss fight, and the boss fights are actually really good in this thing. I'm glad they kept them in. They're just very interesting and fit the levels of the ones that are in it, and have cool like story things in them and cool dialogue and all that. It would suck if they were taken out of this game. So I'm glad they were able to get all that back in.
Yeah, so a lot of these were not going to be in it before the Xbox thing, basically, is what they said.
I could see potentially, I definitely, because not all the worlds have boss fights. I'm not sure how many there are, but they're probably less than maybe you're thinking. With that amount of worlds there are, potentially there's a final boss. I could see it at a point where that was the only one in the game. Because that's the only one where technically I could see them, like that one has to be there. The other one's like, okay, I could see how they could take those out.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
I don't mean it in a bad way, like, oh, they're pointless story wise. It's just
it's like fun.
You can easily see how they could have changed it too.
Yeah. There's something I was gonna ask. Did not remember what it was.
As far as you talking about structure and all that, what I loved about this game, and I want to say this for people who might be going into it and thinking I might go a little slow or it's a little streamlined for the first little bit, honestly, where you pretty much start in the first brain, and then you go out, you go to Psychonauts headquarters, and you have the building for it, which is not crazy big. It's and you kind of do all that kind of stuff. You explore a little bit, you do the story things, and then you got another kind of like story mission thing where you're kind of going in a straight line. And people were kind of, I saw some people that were still early in the game when I was reading some people's impressions, like, yeah, I wish this kind of opened up a little bit. There is a point where it opens up big time. Like there is a bigger hub world than just the initial one in there, and it was one of those times with the hub world where I got out there, it's like, oh yeah, I remember actually seeing footage of it, this exact thing. I forgot this was in there. And then I spent like 2+ hours exploring it.
Nice.
Especially since there is a whole group of very important characters, I would say, in this world that technically a lot of their stuff is optional.
Okay.
So, and you can do it the first time it really opens up. So I suggest going ahead and doing that because it fits as far as you doing this now. It didn't really feel like, okay, I can open this world. Let me just waste 2 hours looking for collectibles. I did a lot of that, but there was actually cool interactions and story things during that stuff and some character stuff.
Yeah.
That was nice. So whenever, you open up, when you get into a hub world, explore like crazy. You don't know what you'll find.
Hell yeah. Yeah, so is it like, is it kind of like open exploration of these big environments, or is it more like level based? Like you go into a level that you're doing a thing, or is it like?
It kind of makes it work because the main hub world I'm talking about is, you can like there are definitely paths, but you can do a good bit to explore them or whatever. And
I
find
mean within
secrets.
These different, when you go into a brain, is there just like a set linear path you're going, or are you like saying I'm going to go do this, now I'm going to go do this?
They're pretty linear. There's a lot of like optional paths or whatever, and like secrets you can discover, and of course, but I would say overall to varying degrees they are pretty linear as far as you have a set thing that you're going to do. But yeah. There's some, you can get off a little bit and try to find the secrets.
Right.
All that kind of fun stuff.
Well, awesome.
Yeah. I think, what else? Yeah, that's too much to say without getting into any spoilers.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hold you back.
No, it's fine. No, I'm excited, like, because the reason why I asked you the other day, because I might have misremember, it didn't seem like you were particularly interested in Psychonauts up to this. Like, you hadn't really expressed it.
I mean, it's like I said, it's the type of genre that I've liked a lot and stuff in the past, and apparently it's a phenomenal one. So it's like,
I mean, I know obviously I've looked forward to this game for a while as my top whatever, so I'm biased, but I do think overall this is like critically thinking like one of the best games the best game I played this year, regardless of my.
I'm hearing that from a lot of people too.
My bias for it, and to the point where I'm like, I'm going to be very disappointed. Like, I know Game Awards not end all be all, but just that kind of stuff, it's not up there for.
Wouldn't hold your breath, but it could happen.
Yeah, I'm hoping it at least gets enough thing because it is a Microsoft game and all that kind of stuff. I'm seeing enough big people.
Yeah, it might it seems like this is actually getting the like full throated like critical. Like shouting from the rooftops that you might
and there'll just be those people that are fighting for like we follow Easy Allies right now. Ben's the only one who has completed it to this point, and he's going to be like, no, you guys need to play this.
play the game.
Yeah, and I saw like Jason Schreier just posted a little ago. It's like, I'm 10 hours into Psychonauts 2. I have no bad things to say.
Well, I downloaded one. One on my PC. So.
Yeah, I guess it's also an important thing we can kind of end on here. As far as going into 2 without playing 1. And that's an important question. People probably got the answer, seek the answer, but from my opinion out there, as far as that goes, you definitely can. I do think you're kind of doing yourself kind of a disservice if you don't play 1 though. Yeah. Just for multiple reasons. It's because 1 is on its own very good. Of course, some stuff like some of the combat and controls and stuff, it has aged. It's a 3D platformer 2005. Yeah. So it definitely has you there. But the world and characters and stuff are still great. They still hold up. The worlds are fantastic there. So you will get more out of this game if you have played 1. You can just look up a story stuff for Rhombus Silver Ruin. You don't have to worry about it.
Right, yeah.
But that one is kind of important too, at least getting the general beats. But I think it's important there so you can get more out of this game. And if you play Psychonauts 2 first and love it and you're like, okay, I'll go back and play 1. I feel like 1 will show its age a little more.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to go back.
Yeah. If you play 2 already.
I could see that for sure. Yeah.
So you can, but I'd recommend 1.
Yeah, I think I'll probably just try to play 1, even with the age and everything, and just try to get through that.
And it's not really like as a cost thing for Psychonauts 1 because it's usually no more than $5 anyway.
Yeah.
And then obviously
Game Pass. It's not
Pass.
cheap all the time. And both games are on Game Pass now. So
yes. Obviously, I recommend Psychonauts 2 to everyone. Yeah, I wish I could go more into this stuff, but maybe we will in the future.
I'm just so happy that this. I mean, I'm not surprised. I would have been more surprised if it didn't, but I'm so happy that this panned out for you. That like after all of this build up and everything.
Yes. Yeah. It's crazy to think about because there was that kind of fear about it. I had faith in them, obviously. Like the moment I got done with Psychonauts, I was thinking of the potential for Psychonauts 2. But there is that fear of, okay, it's been 16 years, it's crowdfunded, that feels like it doesn't work out. It works out less than it actually does work out.
Yeah.
But I know I think Microsoft definitely helped with it. But I feel like the core there is still like this game would have been great, Microsoft or not. But it definitely did help with the polish and the boss fights and the like.
I think it's in very good hands with Double Fine, and I think they gave themselves the time and got the budget and whatever to do the thing.
I'm hoping this helps put Double Fine kind of more. I mean, Double Fine's always kind of obviously always been there. People know their name and stuff. But I feel like Psychonauts 2 is one that helps take him farther, especially since
I hope this is not something that just like kind of commercially pans just as much as the first one, but it's because I could see that. I could see it being critically received really well, but still not really break out like that. I mean, I think it has a ceiling. I think just the way it looks in the 3D platform. I mean, it looks like an old game, not even in a bad way. I mean, it's just its art style, and it's just I just don't think it's a very mass appeal game. I like it more because I am like more into it than if it was trying to appeal. I think it shouldn't try to appeal to.
Again, we'll go through it, but just the creativity on display in here at the Worlds is just it's very few like developers I think are on the level of what's in here in Psychonauts 2. Like Nintendo, I think with the Mario team is there. It takes Haze Light with It
But
Takes
then
Two
still,
showed that.
but then still, we're talking about like a different. We're talking about like a writing type thing or whatever.
That's
Like,
true, yeah.
like Nintendo's on that scale, or whatever. Obviously, with gameplay, I mean, every Mario game is just immaculate or whatever. But it's not like Mario has made me feel things. Like, I mean,
And I think that's why Psychonauts 2 is special, because it does the whole like, it would be a great game even if the writing was
just okay,
yeah, or not really as much there.
Right.
But the fact that it adds the story and the character writing to it is what does make it special. And
Right.
I'm curious to see how it I actually needs to simmer down because I just got done playing it. But I mean, I mentioned Psychonauts kind of jumped up my list when I played it. I'm like, there's no doubt in my mind, Psychonauts 2 is probably one of my favorite games now. Like,
That's
no
awesome.
question. That's just, in my mind, does everything right, mixes a whole bunch of things. The story and characters among the best. And
it's so much of it, like you said, a game that is made for you. I mean, it definitely feels like the humor that I've seen from it feels like your type of humor or whatever. Like when you posted that thing of like, I'm the milkman, my milk is delicious going up, I was like, that's a Jeff joke. That is just like, it's just like, that's the type of joke that'll make Jeff just like die.
Yeah.
It's like, there's just a lot of things about it. It's kind of like whimsical and lighthearted, but it has there's like a certain thing that I definitely see.
And again, they went more of the serious stuff in there. While it was definitely there in one, it was a little more hidden, I would say, in one. But here they put it a lot more at the forefront. I think the game is better for it.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. So good. Awesome. Well, you know what else is maybe so good? Good? So good? Very good? Great.
So far, it is pretty dang good, Darby. No More Heroes 3, just 2 big sequels in 1 week for Jeff.
2 like long-awaited, maybe would never happen, but it actually is happening.
Yeah, I did not expect them when they were announced, per se.
Probably both of them, neither of them were huge sellers.
Yeah. And also just weird as fuck.
Yeah, weird as fuck.
I mentioned to you what in the world I was doing right before we recorded. I'm like, yeah, this is, and not even talking about the cutscene that preceded Darby. It was an acid trip. I think so far, No More Heroes 3 is like, oh, the farther I go in, the more drugs Suda was on.
Oh yeah, of course. You can't write this game without drugs.
Yeah, but it's just getting crazy.
It'd be an inferior product. Yeah, the drugs started hitting a little too hard towards.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. This is one I feel like we were less sure about than Psychonauts 2, but
I for sure.
Yeah,
it's hard to tell with this kind of game where it was just like, and even then it's, how much of it is I'm just going to like because I like this series and I like Suda and everything, and how much of it is going to be a good game. I do think it's still a mixture. I think it's a mixture of column A, column B. I think it's still very Suda, so I get Psychonauts 2. I feel like it's a lot easier to recommend to people, like, and most people can at least get some enjoyment out of it.
Yeah.
No More Heroes, like, it's gonna be a certain kind of person.
I mean, for example, I want to play Psychonauts. I have zero interest in playing.
Oh, that's why I have no problem just telling you what happens in No More Heroes 3.
Yeah. And I'm very happy for you, and I definitely get it. I get it, but I have zero interest.
No, that's fair.
And even after watching you play,
yeah. It's just crazy and over the top and all that. I just love it. You're just playing as a wrestling-loving otaku who has a lightsaber and now a mech suit.
You say wrestling-loving?
Yeah, because he has wrestling moves.
Okay.
That's been a thing since 1. It's just a part of it was, oh, he's the otaku who uses like a beam katana lightsaber and also uses wrestling moves on people.
It just shouts fruit.
Yes, he does it.
Yeah.
You just Dario is like strawberry, blueberry, raspberry.
I just again, I like to think that it's like his enemies are like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? He just shouts fruit and kills people.
Yep. So as far as the gameplay flow for this or whatever, how it's structured, it is exactly like the other ones so far. The other mainline No More Heroes games, where it's just, okay, you start off with the first ranked assassin thing. It's just throw you straight into that. And it's like, oh, you got to get through all 10 assassins or whatever. And, you go, you do some chores and stuff. You mow lawns. You pick up garbage.
As you do.
You shoot giant crocodiles with a tank.
Of course.
To raise money to get into the fights to fight these alien assassins. because people are probably more familiar with this than No More Heroes in general. The trailer that premiered at the Game Awards 2 years back, I guess now.
Fantastic trailer.
Yep, with Fu, introducing him and all that. All those aliens that you saw on there, I am slaughtering.
Yeah.
And it is fun. Like the main appeal of No More Heroes are the crazy boss fights, and so far it has lived up to the No More Heroes name. And like I said earlier, as I'm going through it, the crazier they are getting, and it's just a joy to see.
That's awesome.
Because like Psychonauts is unique in its way. No More Heroes is also, in Suda's visions, also very unique in how he expressed it. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's hard to explain this stuff in details. I don't want to spoil this like that. I don't want to spoil it for people who want to go into it, because part of it is that reaction to it.
Just what the hell was just happened? Yeah.
Yep. And as far as the combat and everything, I think it. After I got some of the additional moves, I think it's really opened up, and it is a lot of fun so far. The No More Heroes combat has always been pretty basic and nothing too crazy. It's just pretty basic, hack and slash, and this is very different. But it has taken some of the stuff introduced in like Travis Strikes Again, and which is a completely different game than the whole top-down nonsense and some of the weird powers in there, and just like, okay, we're gonna let you use that stuff in this game, in the whole 3D hack and slash thing, which, like I said, really opens up. And it's been a while since I played No More Heroes 1 and 2, so it's hard to remember any exact comparisons, but I feel like the enemy variety is more so far in this. Like after every boss fight, I'm going and doing these missions where I gotta fight people, and I feel like it's definitely a more bigger variety. I mean, it's like it's always introducing new ones that are obviously aesthetically different, because they're like aliens from a different planet. It's like this weird two-headed shark boy.
Yeah. Very JoJo-esque designed.
Yeah, and how they fight and everything is different, and how you gotta approach them. And it's always kind of fun now, since I've fought at least a couple of the main ones. Going in there. And okay, how many of each one in there? Because that's how you do, is like, which one do I want to kill first? Because there's some that are close combat and some that are rangy, and some of them are harder than others. Like this one samurai guy who is a bitch to kill, because he does a lot of damage and just a lot better defense. But there's also these ranged guys that just put out these bombs out there, and if you touch them, it takes like 20 to 30% of your health or something like that if you get hit by them consecutively.
Nice.
So figuring out how to get through that has been fun. And at the pace I'm going to it, I don't feel like the combat's going to get tiring for me by the end of it, which is definitely a fear going into this, because again, it's been a while since I played a mainline No More Heroes game. Just kind of seeing, because it's a low budget kind of janky thing. And speaking of low budget jank, that open world.
Yes, I've heard. Yeah, the Switch is chugging.
Yeah. I will say, for the combat, just again, Suda said for that he is hitting for 60 frames, and I think he's doing it. Like, actually, just kind of thinking about it, because him mentioning that stuck in my mind. When a bunch of crazy stuff happening on screen, I'm not really noticing any significant frame drops. Might be some, but like.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. The like framiness or bugginess or whatever doesn't really seem to be seeping into combat. Which was
the main focus of the thing, which I think is the right thing to focus on as far as that goes.
Right.
But the open world is topped off at 30 frames, and it does chug sometime when stuff is going on. You definitely, there are definitely some drops. But it's just kind of whatever. The open world is very, very empty. You just kind of go in there to get to the missions and all that kind of stuff. And it doesn't take that long to go through it. So it's not like crazy good, but it's also not offensive.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at it, it definitely looks very basic and old.
Oh, yes.
When you're like driving through it, yeah.
The budget went into the boss fights and all that kind of combat, any combat related things.
The game definitely didn't have a high budget, so they had to, they definitely focused it in certain areas and probably had less for other areas.
Yeah.
But and part of it is just a problem that we've seen with lots of Switch games and stuff nowadays or whatever. But I do think it goes beyond. This goes beyond just the Switch problem and probably goes to like the actual budget of the game problem.
Yeah. You mentioned No More Heroes has never been crazy on sales, so the budget,
it's surprising that this game's happening at all.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and I think it's, at least so far to me, excelling at the right points. Like, general combat feels very good, and the stuff it's doing is fun, and the boss fights have been good.
It seems like from vibe and story and combat and just fun factor and everything else, like this seems to be doing the revival of a like weirdo cult classic that people love or whatever that Deadly Premonition 2 tried to be, and this kind of seems like it actually understands what was so good about what people really like about No More Heroes.
Because Deadly Premonition 2 has always been in the back of my mind with this. It's like, just turn out like that. And when we kind of saw more, it's like, okay, I had faith in this to kind of hit my expectation.
The biggest thing, it would just like biggest fear I would have for you is that it would just feel like this wasn't. It was fine, but it wasn't necessary. It's like we could have just ended. It was like this just. I think a lot of people were like that with Deadly Premonition. It's like, you should have just left. You should have just left Deadly Premonition alone on its own, like after playing 2. But it sounds like no one's really saying that after.
No, and I think what helps it is Fu is such an enjoyable villain,
and you have to have an antagonist that like matches Travis in the like hyper competence, but also hyper ridiculousness.
Yeah, it's like. The voice, like the main voice acting for like between Travis and sometimes the big ones are pretty solid. It's like the voice acting in No More Heroes in general isn't great. It's good and just kind of over the top and cheesy and all that kind of stuff. But I will say the voice acting for Fu has been really good. Like, and who I don't know voice actors and stuff. Like, I don't recognize him or anything, but they picked a perfect voice for him from what I've seen. Like, his voice. He's doing a great job with the scenes I've seen him in so far.
That's awesome, yeah.
And he's just a fun thing. I think that's something that, compared to other No More Heroes, if they were going to do a third game, they need is just kind of having a general overall villain like this, like immediately, like, okay, here's the threat. Just kind of besides going through the assassination things for the kind of sake of doing, it's like. You're gonna go through the same thing again, but you have an overall goal that is to save the world,
right? Yeah.
And Fu's fun, and the fact I think introducing aliens is good because they're all good. You can have all these crazy designs and all that kind of shit. You can have them do whatever the fuck you want, and because screw it, they're an alien.
Yeah.
And I think that it introduces some crazy things for boss fights and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. I think Jeff's about halfway through, so you'll probably hear the rest of that next week. You'll probably hear the last half of these impressions next week.
But and maybe for this, if you're okay with it, depending what we got going on for next week, we can do kind of like we do with some of the other ones. Have it at the end, and I can just go spoiler on your ass.
Down with that.
Danganronpa V3, the sequel.
Let's do it.
Bit more compared it to Danganronpa V, like some of the stuff to Danganronpa V3 and Deadly Premonition.
Some strong words.
Yes.
Strong words. Do not use them lightly.
I want to blow your mind next week, Darby. After I get my mind blown.
Look forward to it.
All right, Darby.
We'll blow my mind with some news and a news jingle.
Jingle, jingle, jingle. Getting into it, Darby. Gamescom was last week.
Yeah, you can go look on youtube.com/nerdsatlarge and see our live reactions to that there Keeley Jamescom.
Yes.
It was a con just for James.
And there was an Xbox One which we did not react to, and I completely forgotten here because honestly nothing really happened during it.
From what I heard, I'm kind of glad we didn't.
Yeah. So let's just get into it here. The main things we're talking about for the next little bit is stuff from Jeff Keighley things. I got a couple of the main games separated, and we'll go for a quick list of the best of the rest.
Boondocks Saints.
Yes, Boondocks. Yeah, Saints Row was announced. That's how they started out the show, Darby. Yeah, gangsters, they showed off their purple. It's like, oh, that's Saints Row. Right?
That did the thing.
Yep. Announced the reboot.
Yep, they did the thing that everyone's doing. All the cool kids are dropping the numbers and just doing the name, and it doesn't get confusing at all.
No.
I thought this was a very fun CG trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. Obviously CG trailers don't really tell you much.
No.
But I do think it was fun.
Yes.
It was a fun trailer. I think it had the Saints Row vibe, but I felt like it wasn't as cringy as that could easily be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably like Saints Row the Third is probably like you would probably cringe inside yourself and like form a black hole or something if we played it now in the year of our Lord 2021. But this gave me tone-wise gave me hope that Saints Row could find something that still feels like Saints Row, but that is kind of funny and cute in 2021.
Mm-hmm. So yeah,
tone-wise, just talking about tone right now. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I agree with you. Over the top, but yeah, not nearly as over the top as it got towards the end. While they didn't go into crazy detail about it during the actual show, a lot of details have come out since then because of previews and the like. And people have pretty much described it as a mix of Saints Row 2 and 3 tone. Just kind of a middle ground of that, just kind of has a mixture of both in there.
It sounds like good direction to me, yeah.
Yeah, kind of keeping it that way. And just a couple of details. I got some of this stuff compiled from Loud Ninja and etc. I just got a big, nice, giant thread of all that. Some things that stood out to me real quick. When they showed the trailer and stuff and they had the voice actors go out there, it made it sound like that was going to be the character, the boss.
Yeah, definitely.
It turns out that's not the case. The character is customizable. And they said it was the most robust customization they've had in the series. So look forward to...
Yeah, they definitely did that in a weird way because, like, you're the voice actor. You play the character.
Yeah, and it's come out since then. There are 8 different voice options for the boss.
Weird, yeah.
So, it's like, yeah, so you're putting out this one specific one.
You're one of 8.
Yeah.
I was thinking, okay, well, maybe she's just the female option. There's just a male and female option, but apparently not even that. I was like, okay,
no,
well.
Which in a way kind of a bummer because we kind of talked about it's like, okay, well, we were kind of into the idea of them just having a straight up, this is just the boss.
Yeah.
Because, while the whole customization thing could be cool and, you still be cool in this, them just kind of like a straight story might be a good change of pace.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely could. I mean, it's going to be wacky and goofy, and the story's kind of probably going to be whatever anyway. I mean, I could see both sides of it, but yeah.
Let's see. Well, speaking of over the topness, Volition promises that it's still planning to introduce some ridiculous over the top weaponry, as is the series trademark by this point. Because right now, the weapons they've shown in the little gameplay we've seen, and more has come out since then. There's actually another trailer where people were like, why didn't you just show this at Opening Night Live? You're going to release it 2 days later. It's been pretty straightforward, just normal, like, regular guns and rocket launchers. And
no dildo bats?
No dildo bats yet. Will they bring that back, Darby?
They might. Bitch, they might. Find it in a... Didn't you, like, find it in a cave or
I
something?
did, and, and lights were shining on it, and holy music started. Pretty funny.
That's pretty good.
So we'll see what they'll do with that again. The final thing I got on here, we can go a little more into other stuff. Built with exploration in mind, the most diverse sandbox Volition has created yet. That has me excited because it's been a while since I played like 3 and 4 and the like, but the sandbox, while fun, especially at the time and everything, thinking back on it, pretty standard, nothing like too crazy going on. Just mainly city and just bare, like slightly outside the city stuff. With the occasional spaceship to jump on.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I'm tentatively excited. I fully think that there's a possibility that this game, just kind of feels boring to me or whatever. Like, that like, but I feel more optimistic about it now than I would have, than I was saying openly that I thought about it, the concept of a new Saints Row game. I think vibe-wise, they're somewhat getting there, in a way that I think could be cool. I just hope the gameplay feels like it's fun and doing something, that will keep my attention the whole time. Yeah. I'm not sure. I haven't played many of these, like, GTA type sandbox, just like fuck around with all these elements the game in a while, so
yeah, it's kind of thing when we've got to these games and I was like this, the next thing like destroy all humans, and like when we got that remake, it's kind of like I haven't played these in a while. It's like that could scratch a certain itch, like
because there's even things like Like I've played a Rockstar game since then, and some people you can kind of treat Red Dead Redemption 2 like that, but I never had the desire to treat Red Dead Redemption 2 like a crazy wacky sandbox because I was just way too immersed in the world. And it's like
That's why I play Red Dead Online.
I am role playing. I am Arthur Morgan, and he is not gonna go just
slaughter everyone
in this town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the hipster characters, Darby? The hipster party.
I'll slaughter everyone with the hipsters.
Yeah. I didn't know this was a thing, and I saw it a little earlier today. Apparently, it's getting dislike bombed on YouTube because of it. People aren't happy with the character designs.
I do want people to stop doing the whole mask with the emoji thing. Like that is like really, really overdone with the like, yeah, this is what teens like, right? This is what the kids like.
Indeed.
The emoji masks.
They do, Dari, because I saw on that trailer, a whole gang has those masks.
Yeah.
They're one of the enemy gangs.
That's the type of thing that screams like, oh, there's like a 50-year-old suit who's just like, yeah, these things. Deadmau5, right?
I played this game, Destruction All-Stars, and I thought this kid looked pretty cute. So put the helmets on everybody.
But other than that, I thought they seemed fine. You know, they weren't offensive to me. They were like, yeah. I still think this game could be bad. Do not think we're like
graphically. I think it might look a little rough.
Yeah,
it looks like it's not looking as impressive as some of the other open world games we're getting, and like have got in the past like yearish or so, and the ones we've seen coming up. This game's coming out in February, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, surprisingly soon.
Yeah. Speaking of games that are also coming surprisingly soon, a month later in March, we got the announcement finally of Marvel Midnight Suns. It finally happened, Darby. This has been rumored for a little bit. We talked about it when rumors popped up. It's finally announced.
I don't remember talking about it. When
we definitely talked about it.
I believe you. I believe you.
Yeah. When you, I know you mentioned that. I knew you forgot. It's like I'm pretty sure we talked about this.
I have literally no recollection of any XCOM developer developing a Marvel game. Literally none.
Yeah, it was a while back at this thing. There was like a bunch of like Take-Two or 2K 2K whatever leaks or whatever, and this was part of it.
I believe you. I fully believe you.
But, sorry. I opened that up for a reason. I'm about to read a couple excerpts from Charlie Hall from Polygon, from their little write-up about it and talking to developers. Just kind of set the tone before we get into the discussion. Firex this is kind of going all over the place for information. This is like an XCOM style game, and Firex has confirmed that Iron Man, Captain America, Captain Marvel, Doctor Strange, Blade, Nico Minoru, Magic, Robbie Reyes as Ghost Rider, and Wolverine will all be playable. There will be a total of 13 allied heroes in all, drawn from the Avengers, X-Men, Runaways, and beyond. In between missions, players will have free reign to explore the Abbey, an all-new headquarters area designed in partnership with Marvel Comics and its grounds. Solomon said players will explore in third person, using their time to develop relationships with the other superheroes. Also, I'm sorry to confirm, you can't date them.
Well, guys, just pack it up. What's the point?
As the newly resurrected Hunter, players are the only ones capable of stopping Limit and her minions from destroying the world. But while the stakes are high, the game will not include permadeath, yet another departure from the classic XCOM formula. So they kind of said, shortly afterwards, like, yes, this is the XCOM team and all that, but the gameplay, besides being a strategy RPG kind of thing, will be very different, not really similar in any way to XCOM.
Then fucking show what the game is when it's coming out in like half a year away, you know?
They're showing it tomorrow.
Why didn't you show it then? But like, all right, we'll tell you. Cool. I mean, at least there's
we're going to talk about that next week. We look at that footage, maybe talk about
that. Then honestly, we'll have more to say next week. Then the concept of an XCOM Marvel game, I'm very excited about, but it's like I don't want to get too excited about that if that's like not at all what it is, and it's just like I don't know. I think it's very obnoxious to just like not show these things. And if you didn't know who Firaxis was, which I didn't, I mean, once you say it's the XCOM devs, I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. But if you didn't know that or whatever, you'd be like, okay, cool, it's something Marvel, but what the hell is it? You know, you wouldn't.
That announcement trailer had
nothing.
Did not tell you anything about what kind of game it actually is.
Tone was cool. I like the like magic. It's kind of like the MCU is doing right now. It's like it's Marvel, but it's a very like different side of Marvel that we don't see as much with the whole kind of more mystical stuff.
I like the roster what they're going on because obviously it's more of the mystical side. We got obviously Doctor Strange is there. It's the more popular one. We got Blade, Ghost Rider, and then you still have some popular ones like Iron Man, Captain America, Captain Marvel, Wolverine. We're seeing people kind of mixed on. Some people will obviously like, characters I know, but also some
cool
that are
mix,
more into it. Yeah, it's like, okay, just the popular ones in there instead of the ones that usually fit.
Yeah, it's a cool mix of some oddballs.
And they confirmed 13. I believe counting the playable character right now, that's 10 announced. So we got like 3 more. I'm suspecting one will probably be Scarlet Witch. Maybe.
Seems like she would fit.
Yeah, and at least another kind of somewhat popular magic character. Started to like
Rocket Raccoon.
Yeah, there we go. Hard to nail down, like say, oh, this definitely needs to when they're going for these more obscure characters that I've heard of but don't know much about.
Yeah, no telling.
Yeah, but Darby, here's the thing: the gameplay's coming out tomorrow, but we actually do have more information because it is the Game Informer cover story thing, and some details that come out. So I'm gonna break this down for you, Darby. Well, here's something real quick. Apparently, for gameplays, there are going to be costumes in here, and abilities stuff are going to be tied to costumes. Fun stuff. So here's some information. It's going to be a 40 to 60 hour RPG. Makes sense. Inspired by Mass Effect and Fire Emblem. It's going to be handcrafted levels.
And you're saying it's inspired by Mass Effect and Fire Emblem, and we're not dating people? You took the wrong inspirations.
Very platonic. No, Darby. Here's the big one. They were inspired by Slay the Spire and SteamWorld Quest to create a card-based tactics system.
Okay, interesting. So it is still going to be nerdy, guys. Don't worry.
Yes,
it's nerdy.
Yep. Let's see if I got any other things on here.
Be still, dorks out there.
And let's see. Nico Minora, apparently her main thing is she can only use a spell like one time.
Nah.
But that'd be weird for this kind of thing. So, but they apparently said her magic's still going to be very unreliable, like in the comics. She'll be very powerful, but it might bite you in the ass.
She's Kay the Chestnut.
Yes, she is. And there's actually a screen apparently from the game.
Okay. So interesting. So like, I wonder, are we like third person running around? Is it turn based with the cold cards thing? Like, I wonder what's going on there.
Yeah, I'm not sure, which is why I'm glad we're getting, like, I see this and like, oh, we're gonna get an explanation.
Yeah,
tomorrow.
I just need to see the gameplay. Like, I don't want to like speculate too much because like this is their fault for doing.
Main things on the internet, like Mass Effect, Fire Emblem, or some interesting inspirations.
Yeah, it's obviously still tactics.
Yeah,
it's
and
not,
the card-based
like,
system is big news.
Yeah, I'm just happy to hear that it's not like we're making just a third-person action game like everyone. It's like when I hear it's Fire Access or I hear it's the XCOM's people, I'm excited by like, oh, it's gonna be some weird tactics thing. That sounds cool to me, and different. And I'm happy to see that it is going to be some tactics type thing, but does look pretty mighty different. So
but what has me very excited about learning more of this is it's gonna be a tactics thing, and it's gonna be different from XCOM, but from what I've just heard from people, Fire Access just does not miss. As far the games are just tend to be excellent no matter what they do.
I mean, I do like that Marvel still seems to be just like, let's just pinpoint all the best developers and just ask them if they want to do Marvel things.
And something I am kind of excited about this, obviously with the inspiration from Mass Effect and Fire Emblem, is the character relationships and that kind of stuff in the app. It's like that'll be fun. Like we'll have the tech stuff, but still the breakdown thing. And hopefully for you, you fell off of Fire Emblem Three Houses, but hopefully, I know a big part of that was the actual gameplay. Hopefully this will be kind of more keep your interest.
Yeah, from what I've heard, I think XCOM is just a better tactics game than Fire Emblem anyway. But
so Excite, and we'll probably talk about that more next week.
Yeah.
All right, Dari. The final big headline thing I had from that is not a new game announcement, but pretty much new to everyone.
Might as well be.
DokeV.
It was a weird one.
Yeah, this is the one that I saw everyone reacting to and all that I'm talking about. This was definitely the show stealer.
Never been like, yeah, it's so. I was like so confused, but also impressed at the same time. It was an even mixture of like, what am I watching? And let me play it.
I got a little information here that we can go dive right in to talk about, Darby. This comes from Cameron Coach from Game Rant. Cameron Cock or whatever for Game Rant. Comes from Pearl Abyss, which you recognize that game. They are a South Korean game developer best known for the MMORPG Black Desert Online.
With them hair physics.
This DokeV was announced 2 years ago, originally as an MMO. But it is now a single-player open-world game.
Multiplayer's dead.
Take that, losers. DokeV's setting is occupied by animal-like creatures known as DokeV. I don't know if that's pronounced right.
DokeV has DokeV in it.
Yeah. Creatures which live side by side with humans in a way that doesn't sound all that different from Nintendo's Pokemon series. DokeV are said to encourage people's dreams, which they draw strength from in return. During Gamescom's 2021's Future Games Show via Game Radar, DokeV was there. It did confirm a release date for PC and console in 2022.
They're feeding off our dreams, Jeff.
They are feeding off our hopes and dreams. So yeah, this looks very interesting, and I am in from a...
It was just like everything. Like me and you were watching, we're like, oh, okay, weird Korean game, looks very weird or whatever, and it kept going. They would like pull out and show this like city in the water. We're like,
so good.
We're like, holy fuck! Like what? What is this game? Like where did this budget come from? Who are you?
Yeah.
Where are your parents? It was like absurd. It was like it had no right to look as stunning as it did several times. Like me and you were, I think we were both like fully ready to be tuned out of this trailer, and the trailer just refused to let you be tuned out of it.
I think what the thing that is very interesting is the fact, it's a beautiful world with we saw multiple different settings, like different kind of looking environments in there. Obviously the main city, but it looks very good, and they showed some variation in it, and then they showed a variety of ways that the kids that I guess probably creative characters you control travel from just umbrella. You're just kind of flying, you're doing the bikes, you're doing running, and all that kind of stuff. Like so many options there. And then they showed that combat where you're fighting with the DokeV against these weird machine other DokeV things.
It was weird and bizarre, but it just looks fun. I fully expect just with Black Desert Online, and like as soon as I hear this Black Desert Online, people, I'm like, oh, okay, well there's the fucking budget. I mean, because Black Desert looks incredible. I mean, especially when it just comes to, I mean, I think it
definitely makes more sense. Yeah.
DokeV, I think, it has the same thing where some of the character models are like iffy or whatever, but like the environments are just like stunning. Black Desert, like the writing is fucking atrocious, and it's like barely comprehensible, and it's just not good. It's just really not good. I fully expect the exact same thing to be going on here. I fully expect the story to be an incomprehensible or just cringy mess. But if the story is shoved to the side enough, and the combat is just really fun, and it's a beautiful world to run around in, that might be enough.
Yeah. No, I understand that. Yeah, I've obviously heard the same things about Black Desert, and it's obviously now a fear. It's like hearing Pearl Abyss, like, oh yeah, that makes sense as far as like you said how it looked and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, the writing and just
we'll have to see. But I am interested. I am like, I've always thought Black Desert looks really cool, and like even some of the combat looks kind of cool or whatever, but like this looks way more alluring, and just the full package of all this stuff, and probably not a game that you have to sit there and grind for freaking ever like you do with
looks crazy.
Looks pretty wild,
and I feel like I got enough of the buzz to where like at the very least Jeff Keighley's going to continue to bring it at his stuff whenever they have updates. They
were probably slightly surprised by how much of a pop it got. It was just the trailer also just kept going. It was like, Jesus, how much of this game do you have to show? It's like, holy shit.
Yeah, it was all good stuff. It's not like we got bored.
Yeah, that was like,
we're like, oh,
entertaining from beginning to the end. The only thing is the frame rate was like really bad. I don't know how much of that was the stream and how much of it was I haven't really seen the trailer outside of it, but
true. Sometimes with this frame rate stuff, especially when it's announced or doesn't announce the date or like a year away, I'm just kind of like, unless it's running in the single digits constantly, I'm like, okay, I'm just not going to worry about that at the moment.
Probably
that stuff can be fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to think that when I'm a Nintendo fan.
Just keep telling yourself.
Yep. All right, Darby. It's time for the best of the rest. First thing, Halo Infinite, not a Microsoft showcase, but was here. But I didn't say not only this, but it did show like a multiplayer trailer thing to show like for like a story thing for the season.
We still don't exactly know what that means, but
no, we do not.
It is probably literally just the person who gives you the tutorial and then you like never care about her again.
Maybe. But we also got a release date of December 8th. Happy birthday to me.
Hey, happy birthday, Jeff.
Yep. So yeah, this is announced that date. Just barely squeaking in this year.
Yep.
Which worries me.
Yeah, go
ahead. Because it feels like with that date in particular, with the way this game has gone, because they announced the late 2021 date last year.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of feels like, okay, we're playing is literally the last chance we can, and it's going to hell or high water. It is coming out.
And they had to push back the co-op and something else. What was it?
Forge,
yeah. No, this is coming in hot, clearly, still.
Yes, which, I mean, I'm not necessarily invested in Halo, but just in general sense, I'm like, kind of worried about that.
I think it was also pretty obvious just from E3 when they still just said holiday.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, y'all are like, because y'all are, I think even at that point they knew it's December. It was just like, we just.
I think it could be at that point they want to put a hard date on it because they're like, maybe waiting to see like, okay, let's see how far we can get, and maybe it can be okay by December. If not, if it's too bad, push it back. I don't know. I know
did no one learn
here, but
did no one learn from Cyberpunk?
Yeah,
did no one learn the lessons?
And I know I might be overly negative here, but with the way this is, I think it feels like this has to come out here than more it is ready to come out this date.
I mean, part of this gives me hope that like they probably did actually change a fucking lot after the gameplay thing or whatever, because like obviously this is just coming in so hot even with all the delays and everything, so probably a lot of work was done to it, which I guess is good for the game. But it sounds like realistically enough the game was changed enough that this should be a spring to summer 2022 game. That they are, like you said, it's just like PR wise they're like, we've already taken such a hit, it has to come out this year. And I just hope that we don't start getting the stories of like, yep, they're making all the developers' lives hell to make this happen.
Well, especially since by that point the new Xbox Series S and X will be out for a year and not really have a major release. I mean, I know I love Psychonauts, but that's not a major release.
No, this was supposed to. I mean, they literally sold. Master Chief is on the box for the Series X. Like, this is not how this was supposed to go. I'm very excited for multiplayer. Yeah, and I think that's gonna work out well for them. I am less convinced on the quality of the campaign, and I'm worried of a cyberpunk-esque like it has bugs that's messing up all over the place.
I think that's definitely fair because it feels, especially since they're making the multiplayer part free, it's like it's Halo Infinite, but they're kind of separate. Even more so than they were like, they're pretty much different games.
I wouldn't be surprised if the multiplayer honestly hasn't changed that much from back when they delayed it because of the poor reception and everything. I wouldn't be surprised if the multiplayer team is like, oh, okay, I guess we'll just polish more. It's like that's basically what they probably did.
And the beta or whatever, there was a little bit back, a couple weeks back, people really liked it, so but we still haven't seen any actual gameplay from the single player. Yeah. And actually, we haven't seen a trailer from the single player since last year. No. Because that thing was multiplayer related, the trailer we saw.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Yep.
Little nervous. Yep.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge get delayed till, I think, officially till next year. April O'Neil.
It did.
Yep. Yes. We'll talk about her more later.
Week of April.
Yep. Cult of the Lamb, potentially the best trailer of the show.
It's pretty good.
Pretty good. You have the cute little lamb being sacrificed. Oh shit. Possessed by Satan, now have a cult.
No.
It's definitely like I feel like the gameplay, what they showed matched the was like it could match the quality of the actual animated part of it, because I think it's really cool what they're doing. Is obviously it's kind of a Binding of Isaac kind of thing when you're going around and the way the combat is and all that. And
but Lily had a cool like hub world that was like developing and like almost like far like not like house sim things or whatever, where you're like taking care of your people back at the hub or whatever, in a like almost Animal Crossing type way, but obviously very fucked up.
Yeah, I think it was like there is some kind of choice related stuff to where depending on what you do, your cult will either love you or worship you or just fear you. And that's why they're there. Yeah. And all that kind of stuff. So I think this game looks really cool.
But then mixed with it, the core gameplay is roguelike, hack and slash thing, which I've never you've never really played any of that type of game, have you?
Not in a long while. I played a few years back, but nothing recent.
Yeah. I always have the same thing with them. I enjoy playing them and I enjoy the combat of them and everything, but I just always just get to the point where I'm so sick of doing the same thing over and over again. Even with Hades, which is like fucking phenomenal, it's so damn good. And still, I'm like, if I have to fight the Hydra one more time,
I feel like I need to at least give one.
Scream.
Yeah, I feel like I need to at least give one of these games a shot to see how I feel about it. And I think Hades will be the one, especially now it's on Game Pass.
Okay, I was about to say just play my copy on Switch. I mean, I don't have it physical, I have it digital, but it's like you could still play it. But if it's on Game Pass, then
I'll just play it on PC then.
I mean, it's great, it's phenomenal, and you'll probably be more okay with that than I am. It's just like if I can't even get through Hades, then it's just not for me, because like Hades was truly a masterpiece. It's just like
Yeah, I do want to get into it because stuff like Cult of the Lamb is like, oh, this stuff's really cool, but it's like, I'm going to get the roguelikes. They're probably at least in one or two more I should try to jump on for.
Hades is the one for sure.
Especially now if it's on Game Pass.
Yeah. That's the one.
Super Monkey Ball. Not much here, but they announced Morgana as
never seen
playable character, and it's just I love the power of kind of like the Smash Balls, just the Fan of Thieves logo coming out. You're like, oh shit!
Like I said in that Gamescom, like every trailer would be improved with a Phantom Thieves like midway through busted hack.
I will say what sucks about Morgana, it is instead of in the game. Paid DLC. It's $5.
All right, this is money grubbing.
Yeah,
this is like the lowest possible effort. It's just we just put Morgana in a ball. I think like Bloodworth was like he can't think of something less consequential than what's in the ball in Super Monkey Ball. It's purely cosmetic money grabbing, but it's gonna work for some people.
Yeah. I'm contemplating like if I want Super Monkey Ball in general, not because of Morgana being announced. Just
I'll be honest, I didn't know that this game was like a giant Mario Party type, like doing a bunch of like mini games. And
it's the regular games, which are the main reason I want it on. Is I've been contemplating on its own because it's so different, but it's like I can see myself really getting into that. And I kind of knew about some multiplayer things, but I didn't know it was all that stuff, which kind of added to it's like, oh, at the very least, the main single player thing is what I'll be there for mainly, but if like our friend could get a night out of that stuff at least, like
it might be worth
that's an added thing. I'm probably gonna look into it because Super Monkey Ball is one of those things like that seems like a Jeff ass game.
Yeah. But his next game
is a Darby-esque game. I'm very happy you have realized you want this game. Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga.
Yeah. The more I've thought about it, and the more I've seen the trailer again and everything, the more I'm excited.
It looks really good.
It does
I'm not a Star Wars guy, but I can say without a doubt, if I like Star Wars, I'd be getting this game.
I mean, yeah, and I played like two different, the prequel trilogy one and the original trilogy PS2 Lego Star Wars games, and loved them to death back then. I have so much nostalgia for them, like a lot of people do, like that hub world, and it's goofy. I love like the pantomiming bullshit. Obviously this is like there's voice acting, all this other stuff, but it definitely seems to still have that like very Lego charming humor type thing, making fun of Star Wars in a cool way. And the fact that it has like everything, it has the entire story, it's simultaneously cool and maybe slightly worrying about the like, is it just gonna feel too rushed through some of these things? But
yeah, I think what might be cool, and it's either will be its greatest strength or the biggest hindrance of the game.
Yeah.
Is the gameplay variety there? Just all the
Yes.
stuff they show the ships, and I'm sure I can't remember if we saw a pod racing. I'm sure it's going to be in there. There's still a little bit. And obviously the combat looked a lot more cinematic than any Lego game I played or seen.
the environments looked really good.
Yeah, and I think like I get what I feel better about that, but you know, it potentially being on the good side of all the stuff we're talking about because of these delays. Because you know, you think this kind of Lego Star Wars type thing is the most like money grabbing thing or whatever. It's like we're pushing this out and it just prints money, and it does.
It does.
But I feel like the fact it's getting delayed as it is and just how good it looks, like, oh no, they're actually pushing for the quality aspect of this. They want this to be good because this is
they're making a big deal of it.
because this is going to be the definitive Star Wars Lego game because it is everything.
Oh, and even seeing the trailers for the Lego games that I missed, this looks like a big step up as far as like budget and environment.
I feel like I had this thought every time I see a trailer because I just forget, like, this how much better this actually looks in the like visually than the other Lego games, and the other Lego games are also very fun. So I have no doubt this will be too.
No, and it has the Jack and Daxter, Sly Cooper, Mario, all those things or whatever, where it's like it has a core gameplay loop of like platforming and fighting and everything, but it's like a variety game. It's gonna be like every level you're gonna be doing something drastically different, and probably nothing will overstay its welcome. To do something just long enough to as soon as you're getting bored of that, it's like, all right, now we're doing something else, you know. And I think it's just like the biggest hang up, the reason why like I get that fear immediately is like when I was a kid, I played two completely different games that was just 2/3 of what this game's going to be covering in one. But I do think that just quality is just going to be stronger with it.
Yeah, you can't help but think like on average, how long is it going to take you to finish each movie?
Yeah, I expect this to be a fairly meaty game. Just with the way that they're like,
you think like, okay, because of it, it's like these are going to be longer than the movies on average.
Yeah, like
let's say conservatively like 4 or 5 hours per like movie to play through them. That's you're approaching 40-50 hours.
Yeah, that would be wild if it was that. But I mean, just the thought of like going through each movie and getting to the end and going to the other one, it just sounds delightful. It just sounds like that would be a blast, you know?
Yeah, and I feel like I've heard something that you can kind of do them out of order or whatever. You can kind of just do whatever you want as far as the ordering.
Yeah, okay, I could see that. If
I was you, I'd just go straight through.
I'm definitely gonna run 1 through 9.
See what the exact Lego Star Wars lore is.
No, that just sounds fantastic to me.
Oh yeah,
and just to see all the like dumb jokes that they do with them would be great.
And again, I think it just looks good, and it will kind of give you a little, definitely the nostalgia thing, not just from it being a Lego Star Wars game, or Lego and Star Wars, but just from, you know, you mentioned the gameplay of it being like the PS2 style stuff. It's like it'll give you that kind of vibes.
Yes.
Jolly vibes.
Yep, I am pretty darn excited.
Yep. Horizon Forbidden West. It was shown, quote unquote.
It was just a delay announcement. Which
it was just
weird.
a delay announcement. It was a weird delay announcement. It is now coming February something another 2022.
Sony.
February 18th.
No one made you make such a big deal about this. It's just an odd choice, but
yeah, finally got delayed. Not too surprising.
No, yeah, it is not.
Tails was shown there. We got a nice little Lindsey Sterling little concert. Got some nice little cosplay.
Very good. I am getting more and more excited about that game by the day. I wish that it was out this week.
Yeah, we still got.
Wish I could go play it now.
I guess it is next Friday. Let's go.
It is next Friday.
So it's Warrior Way in Life is Strange.
Hey, baby.
Yeah, and then we got a new Tails game announcement. What is Darby, what is the bigger ball buster in video games than on iOS and Android?
Yeah, it does kind of bust them, doesn't it?
Yeah, they announced a Tails mobile game. Like, fuck. I mean, he just starts with a brand new Tails game announcement. I'm like, and then on mobile, I'm like, yeah.
Feels bad.
Sifu got a date, February 22nd. That game still looks excellent, though I think we're at the point where we just don't need to see more. I think we're past that point.
Yeah.
But yeah.
This was also kind of a delay announcement because we didn't really see too much. And it was like,
It was, I don't know if it, can't remember if it had a 2021 date. It probably did. But yeah, it was kind of like delay / here's the exact date.
Yeah.
So, and then Death Stranding director's cut to end the show.
Yeah, not a show ender. Not a show ender. Especially when, I mean, it still wouldn't have been a show ender even if it was the first time we saw it. But especially being the second time we've seen it. And like most of this stuff felt like things we've already seen.
No, it was stuff that was like, I think it was primarily all stuff we've already seen announced, just slightly more expanded on. And I don't think this stuff really needed expanding on.
No, it didn't. Like, this could have been a Twitter update to be like, hey, here's more random shit that's in here. This really felt like just Kojima. Like the Keeley Kojima connection is going a little too far. Like it needs to happen when there's something to show, not just every show. Yeah, you know, it's like especially for this to be the. I mean, Saints Row could have easily been the show ender or whatever. That would have been an actual somewhat warranted show ender. Yeah, you know, the whole hell of a lot more than that. You know.
Mm-hmm. Oh. All righty, Darby. Well, let's move on to another game that was shown off at the Games Radar thing. We got an announcement for Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, baby. Finally. Ooh. Finally some news. I've been thirsty, Darby. Thirsty for that news. Yeah, so Cat Dog and April O'Neil were announced as characters. Cat Dog was shown on the cover, so he was on the prize. April O'Neil was also in the cover. She is our leg girl.
That's the leg.
And it was also funny because the people were like, are we sure it's her? Because the boots are different. It looks like that's a tennis shoe. The devs on their Discord's like, oh my God, I'm going to put this to the end. Yes, April is leg girl. I'm going to put that into this.
Figured it out. She was leg girl.
Yeah. So that is fun. Cat Dog looks very cool. Potentially a stance character. Because there are times when they're both facing forward and maybe do different stuff. I'm hoping there's some kind of cool mechanic with that.
Definitely saw someone they were falling and like stretching out or something.
I think they're going into the fact, just the way Cat Dog is.
Yeah.
And you saw Dog get buffed in reference to one episode where he got really strong and all that. Like, I'm really hoping it's kind of a stance thing where it might impact the moves. We saw them both like throw a fire hydrant or something, but we couldn't tell from it. Like, I'm hoping like it might be a Pyra-Mythra situation where their regular attacks are the same with different properties, but then their specials are different.
Yeah, I'm hoping they're just tricky. I want them to be like one of the harder characters to play because you're like doing a bunch of weird stuff controlling both of them.
And then we got
I want both joysticks to control different ones. You have to move them both in the same direction.
That'd be crazy. And then we got April as the third and probably final Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle character, not Shredder or not.
I hope. I kind of hope just for variety. Sake,
and as far as her, I'm kind of glad with the number of characters that we're getting that we're just not getting all four turtles, but for variety's sake, we're getting a third different character. So kind of surprised it's not Shredder, but this is definitely an interesting choice.
It is, yeah.
But it looks like she's doing some crazy stuff. It looks like she has like a little camera that flashes, and it looked like it stunned someone and it was able to stop the recovery. I couldn't tell if it was like it stunned them, they kind of fell, or maybe it changed their input so they started going the other way. It kind of made it look like, and I can't remember what it was, but someone
sounds annoying.
Yeah, someone looked at their trailer and like she might have some kind of meter in relation to like maybe her microphone or something, and all that. And as far as other new stuff in their trailers, we got an Omashu stage, from Avatar. So that is 3 Avatar stages. We got 0 Avatar characters. So Darry, let's get into real quickly updates of potentially who the last characters are going to be and how many and all that. Just real quickly. During the teaser thing for Momo. I want Momo. Yeah. Momo would be dope. During the teaser trailer for the announcement of these 2 characters, they had a thing that showed the roster, and they had 2 giant question marks that were made up of 4 slots each. So people were thinking before this announcement there were 8 characters left. And the developers on Discord and stuff have been pretty good at like shutting people down with this kind of stuff, and they haven't said a word. So I think they're done Slap City and stuff, and I think they know the Smash fandom and how they kind of do on things. They know what they're doing. I think there are 6 characters left after these 2. Then we get into stage theory, which hasn't been proven wrong yet. That we had 3 stages for SpongeBob and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and we had 3 characters from each. And all the other series, like Loud House, we have 2 characters and 2 stages from that series. Other series, we have one character and one stage. So people are thinking each character is kind of having a quote unquote home stage.
Right.
And I think that's partly true. That can definitely be the case because I believe it was Best Buy or something I read a little bit ago said 22 stages in the game. It's looking like they're 22 fighters.
Yeah. Seems that it's okay to do theory crafting with this because this is not Smash that has showed you time and time again that your theories are meaningless, like sand beneath your feet. So no, it's
and I feel like compared to the vast majority of those Smash theories, this actually has some evidence backing it. Especially when the developers have shown that they'll kind of speak up on when people.
I think it sounds reasonable.
They keep expectations in check. So it's looking like we're getting 3 Avatar characters. None of them have been announced, so that's going to be 3 of the last 6 characters. So, Aang, Korra, Zuko, Toph. Toph would be interesting, Darby. Do you know which one?
That's Earth Girl, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So she sees with her feet. She is blind.
Yeah.
She could be a Little Mac style character where she sucks in the air because she literally can't see.
Makes sense.
So that could be very cool.
But she hits like a truck.
She does hit like a truck. She'll just make Earth come out and send you flying. Zuko would also be cool. I'm excited to get more, like, if we get to the Avatar characters. I feel like SpongeBob, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Avatar, those are the 3 that get tied for the most characters. That feels kind of right to me. I'm a little biased with Avatar, but.
Oh yeah, I think Avatar's pretty big and pretty cool. So.
Looking like Ren and Stimpy, obviously going to be one character. We'll get another stage from them. I'm hoping they're a duo Ice Climber type character.
Yeah.
Then we got 2 more slots. No idea who they're going to be. I'm not going to speculate, except for one thing, Darby. There has been a leak, but the developer kind of said no, but there's some evidence to show maybe it might be true. But regardless of it, the main character involved in this leak could still technically be in the game, even though technically the leak is not true. Darby, last year or 2 years, whatever, recently, Viacom/Nickelodeon have acquired the rights to Garfield.
Oh boy!
So people are thinking there is a chance Garfield could be in this game.
The boy.
So I'm like, sure, why not? And that's what I have to say about that.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. And
have
also,
they I mean, I don't think it necessarily has to be in there, but have they like merged Garfield with Nickelodeon? Have they put Garfield like in Nickelodeon?
Technically no, but as far as after acquiring, but if they want to get technical, Garfield has been had a cartoon on Nickelodeon at one point in time, like around the time these other shows aired. And also, as far as that goes, the Turtles are the 80s Turtles, which weren't Nickelodeon at the time.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair question, but
like I said, it's not a prerequisite. It did not.
But that could be a fun one.
Yeah.
And one final thing as far as stages, right now the only character that's been announced, I believe, that does have a stage already represented for them is Reptar. So people are theorizing, and I really hope it's the case because it'd be fucking dope. It's because his stage is the playpen with the babies in the background, and they don't want to show that because then it'll deconfirm the babies.
Yeah. But so wait, is Reptar is announced, right?
Yes, Reptar is the only Rugrats playable character announced. So yeah, they're doing that. It'd be cool if you're in the playpen and everyone's like a toy, because Reptar is technically like a toy in that universe.
That would be cool, yeah.
So yeah, I'm still very excited for this game. Looking like it's
absolutely
still planned for October 5th, maybe, because when the Steam page went up and the PC version was announced, October 5th was the day.
Shockingly close.
Yep. Announced those final 6 characters. Give them to me.
Waluigi.
Yes. Other news, Darby. Got a couple things. Bravely Default 2 is coming to Steam September 2nd. Cool. I mean, like all this stuff, just going to different platforms, not staying exclusive to one thing. Let's go. Darby, you remember that Microsoft Tomb Raider deal?
I do, Jeff.
Apparently, because of a LinkedIn thing or whatever, people now know that deal was for $100 million. That is how much Microsoft had to pay Square to make that exclusive, and it makes a lot more sense now from Square's perspective.
Yeah,
it's like that's the budget for the game.
Yeah. All right. Follow-up question.
Yes.
And I don't think this is a ridiculous question. I think you could take it either way or whatever. You can make arguments. Was it worth it? Because I do think that deal is part of what kneecapped this modern Tomb Raider trilogy.
Yeah.
Like the 2013 one was a very big breakout success that sold a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then going into Rise, it was exclusive onto a system that was like not doing great and a lot less people had. And I felt like by the time it came to Sony, people kind of just weren't talking about Tomb Raider anywhere near as much as they were. Like,
Yeah.
So and then kind of going into Shadow, it just kind of like seems like it just like slowly fell off of commercial success into where it's probably the franchise is probably dormant again.
So the thing is, it's hard to like. I think that's a very fair question. Yeah. It's hard to say. I think in the moment for Square, it was the right deal. I feel like if you just look at Rise, the game that they made the deal for, yes, I think it was a good deal for Square. I'm gonna go ahead and say not a good deal for Microsoft whatsoever. No, but we'll leave them out of this conversation. But yeah, it's hard to tell. Like, yeah, how much did that cripple the Tomb Raider reboot series going into the future?
I think there's argument
it's hard.
Yeah.
Like, I think there are argument to say that it did, but we'll just never know.
No, we won't. Yeah, no, it's just an interesting thought experiment because I mean, there's a chance that this just is how the series was going to go anyway. Is that the first one got people into it, but then after that, I mean, you even saw that with Crash. I don't think the new Crash did very well after the whole Insane trilogy.
Yeah, that's comparison to maybe what you thought.
So it could have just been like one big hurrah, but you weren't going to be able to get people on for a trilogy anyway, or there is a reality that it comes out on everything. Like, yeah, they have to pay for their game themselves, basically, where they got it paid for with Microsoft. But that train keeps on going, and right now we're coming into Tomb Raider 4 and with full steam ahead.
Yeah. It's also made me think, and a bunch of people think like, okay, yeah, Square got this for Tomb Raider. What did they get for these Final Fantasy?
Yeah.
But I've seen some people point out maybe not as much because at the time for Tomb Raider, especially in comparison to the Final Fantasies coming out, they were going to lose a lot more sales on Tomb Raiders by not being on PlayStation than what these Final Fantasies are losing by not being on Xbox.
Oh yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean,
so the floor to like make that deal go through is a lot smaller, I think.
I agree. And Final Fantasy is just not as big of a seller as you think it is, just in general.
Yeah.
Everyone, I mean, it is more than Tomb Raider, but still not. And 2013, I'm not even convinced. 2013 Tomb Raider, I think, sold quite a bit.
No, that's what I'm thinking. Let me check.
I'm not even convinced that that's true. 2013 Tomb Raider might have outsold 15 and 7 Remake and all.
It is definitely outsold 7 Remake, and I'm not completely sure about 15. It has sold 8.5 million. Definitely more than 7 Remake.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all interesting thoughts. Yeah.
Overwatch team has announced they're changing McCree's name. I put this in here because we don't have to talk about it if you want.
I mean, my just very quick thoughts is just that I mean they're changing it because obviously Jesse McCree is a member of Blizzard that was a part of all these allegations and everything, so McCree was named after him, and I do think there's just a troubling thing with that with a lot of Blizzard games is that they're named after these horrible people and everything or whatever. But this just screams to me a PR move to be like, look, we did this big dramatic flashy thing that's going to get headlines, so people will just stop talking about the real problem and just be like, hey, look, we did something or whatever. It's big and flashy and dramatic, but ultimately doesn't change fucking anything. No. And as far as I know, the actual guy they're changing the name for is still at the goddamn company. So like you're ashamed to have his name on your character, but you're not ashamed enough to actually do something about his actions, and I don't know. It's just dumb. So
let's see.
He might be gone, but either way,
apparently he was gone in August, or this a couple weeks ago. Sorry, not in August quite yet.
Either way, I just think it. And
I think you're probably still standing right there, not.
Yeah, and. Just in general, I think we're all going to have to learn. We're all going to have to come to terms with the fact that most of the art that we take in or whatever was made by some horrible people and had horrible people involved in it. And I don't really necessarily think erasure and like just changing the pre-existing things or whatever is going to be the way to handle these things. I think McCree means something different now. It's like that guy, that asshole doesn't get to like.
Most people don't even know.
I mean, yeah, for most people, it's mostly for the people who work there.
Like
know the guy.
Most people who are going to play Overwatch are going to go in there and see his name changed and be very confused.
They're going to know more about Jesse McCree, the guy, because you changed the name than if you didn't change the name. Almost. I mean, that's yeah. I'm just not a fan. I'm not a fan of it, to be honest. I mean, I don't think it I just don't think it does anything.
Yeah.
I think it gives more ammunition to the like cancel culture type thing or whatever for no benefit. I just don't really feel like all this does is just kind of like mask the real things that need to be done, and this is the type of thing that Activision is hoping that you just cite this and be like, look, see, they're changed. Yeah.
Right. It also gives them a reason to push back actual content for the game.
Yep. Great. We need more of that.
Final thing in other news before we get to our main topic. DC Fandom is happening October 16th. While it will have a bunch of things from TV shows and movies, they have confirmed we will also be getting new trailers and information for Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League.
Neat.
Yep. Next month, we're going to get details for that. And who knows, maybe we'll do another Fandom General video with Will again. Ooh. That was fun last year.
Will's a cool guy.
Yep. Get him on here. Yeah, I remember last year there wasn't really a conference. They just kind of did a bunch of random stuff. I wish there was just like one thing where they show all this stuff off. That'd be a fun thing to react to. Like get Will on the Discord and just react to it.
Yeah, wasn't there something we reacted to though, or did we just talk about it?
We talked about it. That's what I was talking about. Yeah, we just did a thing afterwards after we watched the trailers and just talked about it all with Will, which was fun. So
yes,
I'd do that again.
Do it again.
Okay, Darby.
Can I defeat Orange Jesus?
Yep.
And explain to the folks what this is.
A couple weeks back, I presented to Darby a Gamescom mini betting special where he has to face off against RNG Jesus. So I had a random number generator and I just randomly decided which bets he was going to do and what the thing was going to bet on. So the way this thing was split up into 2 rounds. The first one was a simple will this happen thing, and their odds for the things. I gave both Darby and Orange Jesus, let's see, I believe it was 2,000 Jeff bucks per round. Of course. That they could spend throughout this. And for the first one, it was simple. I say something like this will happen, and then you put amount of money on there. And if you get it right, depending on the odds, you get that multiplier. So if it's like 2 to 1 and it's correct, you get times 2.
Right.
3 to 1, 3 times, etc. And onward. And I believe you had to, I think it was you had to at least do 3 or 4 bets. You couldn't just do on one. You had to do at least bet on 3 or 4 of them. We got to get that number. Did write that down. And then the second round was an under and over thing. I just gave a number of things that could happen. People put that amount of money they wanted to bet, and if it's going to be under and over. And I didn't have an elegant way to do like numbers and this kind of stuff, so I just kind of, you get it right, you get double what you bet. So let's get into it. Our baby boy Bradford's excited.
He's cheering me on.
Yep.
He believes in me.
First bet. Will Halo Infinite get a release date? 2 to 1 odds. Darby put 1,400
That's
Jeff
right.
bucks on this one.
That's right.
Orange Jesus put 200.
Doesn't believe.
Yep, we got a release date for it, December 8th. So Darby got 2,800. Orange Jesus got 400.
Yeah, not the biggest payout though. So
yeah. New Hellblade trailer says information at 6 to 1 odds. Darby put just 200 on there. Just a nice, cool 200.
I shouldn't, yeah. But no,
Orange Jesus like, nah, son. No, we didn't get anything. Darby loses that 200.
Tadge.
Will Fall Guys or Among Us appear in Opening Night Live at 3 to 1 odds? Neither took the bait. Maybe they should have, because Fall Guys was there.
Fall Guys was there.
Yeah.
With Disney from no less.
Yep.
Specifically Jungle Book no less.
Yep. At 2 to 1 odds, Opening Night Live will have a musical performance.
We didn't notice ahead of time.
We did not. It was not announced ahead of time. I just put this here because I know Jeff Keighley.
Yeah, we do know Jeff.
You put a nice 100, the minimum there.
Okay.
And RNG just put 400.
Yeah.
The answer was yes because we talked about Lindsey Sterling.
Yes.
So you got 200. RNG just got 800. New Elden Ring trailer at 4-1 odds. Darby didn't take the bait. But RNG was feeling from software. He felt like news was coming in his bones. Technically correct. We got some preview event stuff and some new information, but it was not an OpenAI Live or Xbox's conference. Yeah, I guess to make it clear, it could have been at either or. Put 1,100 on there. It did not happen, so it lost 1,100.
This is the one I was the most nervous about. This is the one I felt those.
Yeah. New Call of Duty at 5-1 odds. Darby, kind of felt it, but not like too much. Put 300 on there. RNG's was like, Call of Duty? Call of Booty, am I right?
You're so right.
It was there. It was announced. It happened exactly like I was thinking with this. It might happen. It was announced shortly before Opening Out Live, after we did the recording and shown gameplay there.
An approximately 45-minute long trailer.
Yes. Darby put 300. He got 1,500 out of that.
Hey.
Not bad.
Hey.
Final bet for this round. Sony first-party game will show up at Opening Out Live at 8-1 odds.
It did show up to delay.
Darby was like, no.
Stupid.
RNGesus felt like something was coming. He put a nice 300 on there. We got Horizon Forbidden West.
That was the type of showing that it felt like someone was in on this bet. Like RNGesus was playing this show, and he's like, just put Horizon there. It's like, we don't have anything in this show. It's like, just put it there.
So at 8-1 odds, 300 becomes 2,400.
God damn it! Are you fucking kidding me?
So the totals for round one.
I'm gonna lose because of the Horizon delay.
Darby is ahead at 4,500 to RNGesus 3,600. So you have a $900 lead.
Stupid.
Now for round two at under, whatever. First bet. 15 new games announced for Game Pass. Darby was the only one who bet. He put 400 on over. It was under. They didn't really announce too much. It was mainly just Humble Bundle stuff, and some of those games like Dodgeball Academia was already on Game Pass.
Boo.
Way under 15. So no payout there. 25% Opening Night Live games will be games as a service.
Oh God.
Darby didn't bite this, but RNGesus felt gains of the service. He read and he tapped into Jack. He's like, "What are you gonna do?" He put 1,500 on under. Remember, I said 25% is the number to go under or over. 24.32%, just under. So a $3,000 payout.
God. Oh my fucking God. Stupid.
8 new games announced during Open Night Live and Xbox. Both of you were feeling this bet, but not like too much. They didn't want to put too much money on it. You put 200. RNGesus put 100. But you went for the over. RNGesus went for the under. 8 was the magic number, Darby. There was actually 10. So the over wins. You get a nice, cool 400 your way.
Cool. It's not gonna fucking matter.
2 games will be shared between each conference. 2 games will appear at both. You didn't bite on this bet. RNGesus put 100 on under. It is under. Age of Empires was the only thing shared.
How was Halo not?
Yeah. The thing is, it was any more, it would have lost the bet because it would have been the same at most. Because you had to be none or one. So it got 200. Next one, 12 double jumps. Neither of you bet, so I don't have to count.
Sad.
Yep.
We want Jeff to have to count though.
Yep.
Sad.
7 anime boys. You put 200 on under.
Yeah.
RNGesus put 100 on over. It was over because they had a trailer where it showed the history of Tails.
Jesus, you're right. You're right. Oh god. Again, this seems
regardless
tailor-made.
of anything else, Tails just did it.
Seems tailor-made to make me lose that bet.
So the RNG's got 200.
History of Tails. Jesus.
Final bet.
I've lost already.
Phil Spencer says Game Pass 10 times. You bet 1,200 on under. RNGesus put 200 on under.
Was Phil even there?
He was not.
Yeah.
I did not at the London conference. I just scrubbed through. I did not see.
That was too bad of a show. He's not
him,
going to taint himself with that.
Well, I realized that once I saw that, it's like, I don't know, and I really don't know why I thought this. I was thinking more in the style of like an E3 one, even if it was going to be smaller.
We all thought this was going to be bigger than it was. So.
Yeah, and less, the more, whatever those Xbox showcase they did when it's just the random people talking.
Yeah, Inside Xbox.
Yeah, Inside Xbox. There's more of that. So it was 0. It was under. So you both got it right. You got 2,400, Darby. And RNGesus got 400. So the totals for this round are 2,800 for Darby, 3,800 for RNGesus. So the final totals.
It's close.
Darby, 7,300. RNGesus, 7,400.
God, fuck off.
By 100.
Fuck right off.
RNGesus has won.
Fuck right off. 100 Jeff bucks.
Just 100 Jeff macaroni.
Garbage out of here. Fuck you, Sony. Why that you're just delaying your game. Just do it on Twitter like everyone else.
The funny thing is, literally any of the bets that, like the 100 bets that RNGesus did, if it went the other way, if Tails wasn't there, you would have won.
Stupid.
If we didn't get the mobile game.
Fucking stupid. RNGesus. Fuck this podcast. Close the show. Yeah, let's out of here.
Hope you enjoyed it, Darby.
Thank you guys so much for watching this stupid show. I don't know why you watch it. We'll be back next week. No more heroes and some other stuff. Well, yeah. Oh wait, no. Next week's not going to be Tails. It'll be the week after that, and
yeah.
Life is Strange and all the other stuff.
Yeah.
But soon. Bye.
Bye.